Danny. Thank you for coming on to Disruptive Plays. I know after you had me on your podcast, we had to do the same thing and run it back twice. So I'm really happy that we could make this happen, especially at such an amazing time for you, such a milestone moment of just retiring officially last week. So genuinely, Danny, I feel honored to just talk to you. I feel honored to know you. I know we've been just talking and met each other years and years ago when I first joined iVueit. So happy to have you on. If you don't mind doing an introduction, telling the world who you are, what you've done, and what's really just drawn you to the field of facilities management to begin with.
Sure. Thank you so much, Emily, for having me. It's a pleasure. Majority of my career has been spent in facility management. I managed all Ruby Tuesday locations, almost 901 point for 35 years. And then I did a couple of different top jobs and so on. And I went to work for Windy City Equipment on the service side in June of 2020. So I get the unique experience to kind of see it from both sides. As a facility manager, and then from the service side that provided support to the facility people. So a little bit of both sides. I spent 5 years there. And as you spoke about, last Friday was my last day. So now I am retired. I still plan to continue doing a podcast sponsored by Windy City twice a month. And
Thank
then the other
goodness.
part's figuring out what to do. So total, I've had 47 years in the industry and a lot of experience. And now it's just kind of time to do something else.
Yeah, on to the next thing. I know when I talk to people in the industry over time, they always say, we get asked the question, what drew you into the field? And a lot of times I just fell into it. I wasn't necessarily looking to be in facilities management, but it happened. So is that true for you, or is it something that you had sought out back in your days at Tennessee?
No, I fell into it like most folks. I had went to work at Ruby Tuesday's commissary, which was making food and loading trucks. Well, I was a sophomore at the University of Tennessee. A friend of mine I'd been working at Pizza Hut, and a friend of mine called and said, "Hey, do you want to work at the commissary?" I'm like, "What is that?" And she explained it, and I went, "Well, I got to go to school." And she said, "Well, they told me to tell you you could go to class in the morning, you could come work in the afternoon." And so
Mm.
I asked the question that any college sophomore would ask, "Do I get paid every week?" She goes, "Every Friday." I'm like, "I'm in."
Get to the
So I
path.
went to work there. Yeah, I went to work there while in school, and after being there about a year, they came to me and said, "Hey, would you like to be the purchasing guy?" I'm like, "Purchase what?" And they said, "Smallware, assorted items, and so on." I'm like, "Sure." They said, "Do you have any experience?" I'm like, "How hard is it? You make a deal, right? I mean, that's just it." And I said, "I'm your guy." And so I started doing that. And then about a year later, they came and said, "Hey, listen, we want you to add something else. Can you be the facility guy?" And I'm like, "I don't hammer and nail or fix stuff. That's not what I do." And they're like, "That's fine. That's not what we want you to do. We want you to find somebody to get it done for the right price." I'm like, "Sure." And we only had 6 restaurants at the time,
At
like,
six?
that's not that big a deal.
Wow.
6.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, this is in 1978. And so Ruby Tuesday was founded in 72. So we had 6 restaurants.
Six
And they said, "Do you
restaurants.
want to be the facility guy?" I'm like, "Yeah." So I literally fell into it and learned early that you never say no, you say yes, and then you try to figure out what it's about and do it. And I was lucky enough to take both those items and kind of build a career off of it of, first of all, buying everything that ever went into a Ruby Tuesday, and then second of all, managing everything that broke in a Ruby Tuesday. So just
When you
fell
say
into it.
buying when you say buying everything that went in, are you talking about all the assets, or does this include the decorations, the ambiance that Ruby Tuesdays had inside as well? It was all of it?
Both. Yes. All the
Mm,
equipment,
nice.
air conditioning, heating, so on, plumbing, and then all the decor and all the miscellaneous items that went to, yeah, all of it.
Yeah. Wow. One of my early on jobs, I worked at the restaurant called Permanti Brothers, if you're familiar. It's a Pittsburgh based restaurant, and their decor is just out of this world, very sports like, very just classic type of decor. And I remember thinking, I wish I had the job being able to pick out all of the decoration for this restaurant. Thinking about it now, it sounds like a huge task, but building a brand in that kind of sense sounds pretty fun.
But we had a guy that did it, and we paid him to bring it. And I can always remember I would look at some of this stuff he would bring in, I'm like, this looks like junk. And we're paying a fortune for it, and so on. But we did that, and I sourced Tiffany lamps because we had Tiffany lamps of all different colors and shapes and sourced those from a company in California. You had other people that did the majority of the stuff. You just managed making sure it got delivered to the restaurant.
Yeah. While we're on the topic, any just standout memories or crazy challenges when you were first starting at Ruby Tuesdays that just come to mind?
I think a couple. I think as you spoke about the artwork that went in, we went through a phase, as you mentioned a few minutes ago, about sports stuff. And so what we started doing was in a certain city where we would go to pro sports teams, college teams, things like that. And we would ask for memorabilia from the colleges to put in our restaurant. Great idea. Tons of people brought stuff and gave it to us to put in the restaurant. Years later, when we closed those restaurants, we had no idea. We had never kept a list of who the people were that had given us all the stuff, and we couldn't give it back. And, months later, people are like, hey, in 1984, I gave you a jersey. Okay, we don't have it anymore. And that didn't play well to some folks and so on, but we never thought about that at the time. It's like, we'll donate this to you. Okay, great. 10 years later, the lease runs out and we decide to close the store. We have no idea how to get a hold of the people because we didn't know who the people were. So that was a little dramatic, to learn at the time. And I've done a couple of closures that the lease ran out and we were in dispute with the landlord, and my responsibilities is go to the building and take all the stuff out of the restaurant. And then you
Yeah.
get there and you're loading, and here comes the landlord and the sheriff's office, and it's a mess. It's a
Oh,
true mess.
yes.
I'm like, I don't really want to go to jail, for this and try to get the stuff out. Those are my marching orders. That's what you had to do. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine that puts you in a pickle.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we're gonna go way back. I want to talk about Danny when you were a kid. Do you recall having a when I grow up, I want to be a blank?
Baseball player, pure
That's
and
a good one.
simple baseball player.
Pure
And
and
I played
simple.
baseball until I couldn't play it anymore, or they said, "Hey, you're not good enough, and you can't do that." And then because I love sports so much, I moved to competitive softball, and I played that for 20 years. And
You know
then I was
what?
too old to do
We have more in common than you know. I played
that.
softball. We played my whole life growing up, played a lot of travel ball. And I actually used to be a pitcher. And it's my bragging right I do have. I was a pretty good pitcher back in the day. But now I do like volleyball leagues and a softball league. And it is fun. It's fun to catch up. It's never going to be the same type of competitive level, of course. But those were some of my favorite years, just playing, meeting friends, doing the travel ball. Just can't beat that sport.
Sure. I played, like I said, for 20 years. Then I started coaching and won a national championship in church ball
Okay.
long, long time ago. National championship. Doesn't matter how you get it if you win it. So did
The
that. So
title is
played for a
still
real
yours.
long time.
Yeah. Yeah. You still earn that title every second. No, that's great. Yeah. It can't be having that extra activity. I know when I stopped doing sports, I needed something. So it's been helpful to just have some kind of league to do in some kind of
Sure.
capacity. Yeah. So my
Absolutely.
next question I want to talk to you about is what's your secret, Danny? You seem to know and have a great relationship with so many in the industry. I see you at these trade shows. I see you with your podcast or when you're posting. And so what's the secret to continuing to build and getting out of that comfort zone enough to build those deep connections within the industry?
I think a couple of things. I think truth and honesty matters, and I believe you have to be real. And I think anybody that knows me or has known me for a long time will tell you one of the things that never changes about me is being real. Be who you are. And I think the other thing is, as you get older in this business and you've done it for a while and so on, and people seek your assistance or help or opinion, help them, give it to them. Take time to sit and talk to people and let them talk. And you don't do it in a way that says, okay, I've heard what you told me. Here's what you do. That's the worst thing in the world. But talk about and try to relate your experiences and how can you help them. And I think it's a way that early on in the industry and when I was a facility manager, there were lots of folks that really helped me and they were mentors. And they spoke honesty and truth. If I needed to do something differently or better, they just told me that. And so I think through is to always talk to people, spend time. That's harder today than it was years ago. Lots of people don't want to do that. They don't want to get face to face and have those conversations, but try to learn about people. And then if they do ask for your help, give it to them and never blow them off. Never do that. Take the time, listen, offer advice if you can, and be there to help them. And I think those that have been my friends for years and stuff know that all you got to do is pick the phone up and I'm going to be there, whatever it is. But you have to be true, you have to be honest, and people have to know when you're speaking, you're doing your absolute best to help.
Yeah, I love that. I know you just speaking on that reminds me of something that happened at the most recent trade show I was at, and I was asked to help out with a student competition event, and I was really busy. I had a lot going on. We're at a trade show, and it was so easy to say no. And the reason I was being asked that is because so many people said no and bailed out and didn't want to take on the extra time or commitment that it had. But I tend to be a yes woman in a lot of situations. And I said yes. And by me helping, it's not just what that other person was getting out of that help. Gosh, it helped me so much to build different connections, to just commit time and be there. It truly takes so much value in new experiences that I maybe don't want to do. Things that I don't want to do or make me uncomfortable tend to be the things that help me grow anyways. So I really resonate with what you say.
It's always worked for me. And I've used it all my career. And again, there were people that helped me. Why wouldn't I do the same when the opportunity presents itself?
Danny, I know when we spoke in the podcast, you asked me more about what are some quotes that I go by. So I wanted to ask you, I don't know what a motto for your life, but a motto for your life right now, especially in this transition period since your retirement. What's something, just a life statement that's keeping you going right now and keeping you excited about life?
I think it's kind of bleeding over, but I think during my career, the go-to statement I always used was "Be better today." I think that was to start every day fresh. One of the things I've done all my life, and it's very old school, but I always started with a clean sheet of paper, but I rewrote everything from the day before, the week before that hadn't been completed yet. If I continue to have to write it over and over, that drives me to get it done and quit rewriting it over and over. So I do that, but I start with a clean sheet of paper and a to-do list. And the reason it's clean is to start the day over. And whatever happens, yesterday is yesterday, and I want to be better today. And I think I want to carry that forward as I move forward into retirement. So on, it will be different. The challenges and stuff will be different, but still be better. And maybe that's be better at home every day or be better in things I do with my family that I haven't had the opportunity to do, whatever that is. But really, it's just very simply be better today and not hold on to what's happened before. And that's difficult to do in business. I think it'll be easier in retirement, but let it go. Whatever happened yesterday was yesterday. Let's start over today and have a good day.
Well, that hits, Danny. It's so true. I think the whole purpose of life here is, to live each and every single day, to learn from the last and not let the moments go away, worrying about the past or stressing about a future situation that we don't even know will happen or not. As cliche as it always is, but just being present. I always say cliches are cliches for a reason. Be present, do better, leave the world better than you found it. Pick up the piece of trash
Sure.
as you're going on a walk that everybody passes up. It's just little things like that can make a difference, not just in your own life, but who you are rubs off on other people, and that's very evident. And I feel that way about knowing you. I know many other feel that industry in the industry feel that way. Knowing good people who care deeper than surface level, care for you, care for your family, care for a better tomorrow. Those people we want to keep tight because they elevate us to do better too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So Danny, I want to ask you, what's a habit or a belief that you think everybody should follow or go by? What's just something that people maybe need to wake up to in just their day to day life?
I think I spoke earlier of truth and honesty, and I firmly believe that you need to be who you are. I never cared to spend tons of times with people that I never knew where they were coming from. Or what would be called yes people, depending on who's in the room, depends on what their answer is. And I never cared for that. I wanted to be truthful. I wanted to be honest. One of the things, I had a great relationship with the president of Ruby Tuesday. And as we would talk many times, I called it votes. And she was the president and she got 2 votes and I got 1. And I said, I understand. All I'm asking you is when you present something to me, if I don't agree, hear me out. Let me have the opportunity to tell you why I'm concerned. At the end of it, if you hear it and you decide, okay, but I'm still going down the road that she had planned, I'm okay with that because you get more votes than I do. It's not about whether you do what I'm suggesting, it's that you hear me and maybe that adjusts how it's presented or how it's done. So I think that's really important, and then take the time always to listen. Don't don't listen to somebody for a minute and then say, "Okay, I got it. Here's what the," that doesn't help people. Take the time to intently listen and then try to give them advice or examples or anything you can. And at the end of it, help them get to the decision by themselves. You're not telling them what to do. You're just giving them information to help paint the picture, and hopefully they get it on their own. And you also have to understand that as you get older, the way I did business or the way I manage my team isn't the way people manage today. And you have to understand that. How I did something or how it was done 10 years ago, 15 years ago may have nothing to do with how it's done today. There could be pieces of that you could pick from, but don't hold on to, well, this is how I did it 15 years ago. That means it's right because it doesn't. It doesn't. Kind of had some of those conversations with some of the folks who've been in the industry a long time like me, and nothing's ever right, and it used to be great and it's not today. The industry's changed. The facility managers of today do a lot more remote work. They do a lot more, it's a lot more about budgets and stuff. My number one role in facility was get it fixed and get it fixed now, and the money will work itself out. It's always about money. The money will work itself out, get it fixed. Today, there's a lot of pressure on facility managers because it is more about the budget per se than it may be about fixing it. And so it's hard. And I just think the conversations I've had with people is I had to adapt. I had a very, this is how you do it and this is what's done at the time. But that time's not there anymore. That time has changed and it's moved on. And I just think you have to open yourself up to there are new ways, all the new technology, all the different ways that you can do business and what's out there. And how would you know unless you try? I can remember conversations early on if I had a vendor per se that I really liked and I used them for everything. And somebody in our C suite at Ruby Tuesday said, how do you know they're great? Well, I use them all the time. Understand. but how do you know they're the best? Well, I don't. I believe they are, but I need to go out there and see what else is out there and so on because there may be something else. And unless you try it or you look into it or you do your homework on it, you're never going to know. And then you're going to be stuck. And I think that's one. So that's what I try to do in that time, talking about it's changed. It's a evolving industry and it's evolving quicker than anybody knew or, it's different today. You got to figure out how to make it work differently. First and foremost, listen. Listen. What a person is talking to you about may not be necessarily what the real issue is. They're either talking around it or they don't want to put it out there. Most folks don't want to say, I don't know how or I need help. They don't. That's one of the reasons I think my podcast has worked. You can listen to my podcast and hopefully there's a episode that comes through that gives you something that may assist you in your job. And you didn't have to ask anybody how or any of that or raise your hand or anything. You just heard it on the podcast. And if you try it and it worked out for you, great. Because most people don't want to say, and I was one of those people, you don't want to say, I don't know how to do this. Yeah, my answer was, I'll figure it out and I'll get it done. But I think that's first. Listen, find out what is the person that you're speaking with or trying to give advice to or help. What are they really looking for? And never give it as this is what you should do. That's the worst thing you can do. You will turn people off of that. It's listen to what they're asking, try to speak toward examples, and then offer suggestions of, do you think this might work? Or what about? But never just do this and it'll fix it. Because how your opinion is or what you would think to be done may not work for them. And first and foremost is to understand that. And so understand it in a way that will be helpful for them. And always acknowledge, like I said earlier, how I did business may not work for a lot of folks today. It probably won't, but there are pieces of how I went to market or how I created. Josh Solin's words to me was your Rolodex. How I created the Rolodex of people, that part didn't change. And that's to be listening, good listeners, and then have truth and honesty in what you tell people. So I think for younger folks today, when they're talking to an older person like me who's been in the industry for a long time, ask your questions, ask what you don't know. And then for me is to give examples, suggestions, probe, do all that you can to get to the root of what the issue is, and then try to help them without telling them what to do. That's my advice. Well, I think what you're trying to do, Emily, is to I want to when I speak with a much younger person in facilities or on the vendor side, whatever it may be, than me, make them comfortable. I'm not challenging how they do it, whichever way they go to market or any of that. How can I help you? And can I help you? Is there anything I can do that will make your job easier is what I'm trying to do. And that's the approach you have to take. I don't want to tell them, but I want to have a conversation that opens them up and lets them speak freely and comfortably, because then it's really going to give me a lot of good information to help provide whatever support I can. And you can't do that without listening. I've been very lucky. I have met a lot of people. I've had the opportunity to spend years in RIFMA and try to help out in every situation I could, fill any role. Kind of like you said, I'm a yes person. You call me and say, we need you to do this. Okay, sure. And I'll figure it out and I'll go do it. And I am very blessed to have the opportunity to be a part of RIFMA and to work for a couple of companies, Ruby Tuesday and Windy City, and listen to some of the comments from those folks who have been out on LinkedIn and Facebook the last couple of days. It's amazing. It's amazing. And just hoping that I have helped some folks. There's a ton of people that have helped me. As I go forward, I want to continue that. I want to help. I'm going to stay involved on the advisory council for RIPMA, uh, do some consulting, things like that. And then just kind of get to spend some time on my own without being at work and without, carrying your phone everywhere you go. That would be nice. And more time with my family. And I've just been very blessed and had the opportunity to meet a lot of people, become close friends with a lot of people. And sometimes maybe somebody's had a problem and they needed my help. And I hope I was there to help them. That's what I care about. That would be great. Thank you so much, Emily, for having me. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.